Prince William County, Virginia, founded in 1731, was named for William Augustus, youngest son of King George II. The county seat changed locations several times before it was moved to Brentsville in 1822. The town grew, but the area remained mostly rural, and residents came from all parts of the county to conduct business in the courthouse at the center of Brentsville. Court days at Brentsville meant more than just trials. The community discussed current events. Following abolitionist John Brown's attempt to arm slaves at Harper's Ferry in 1859, local men formed a small militia to guard against such uprisings and met regularly to drill on the courthouse lawn.
People were concerned that there was what they called a fanatic trying to stir up the slaves. There was always concern about slave revolts.
When secession does come to a vote here in Virginia and later in 1861, the residents are going to meet here in Brentsville again to decide Prince William County's fate.
After Virginia seceded from the Union, 65 men from the militia officially enlisted at the Brentsville courthouse on April 23, 1861, and became part of the 4th Virginia Cavalry. The first major battle of the Civil War happened 10 miles from Brentsville. On July 21, 1861, the residents could have heard the guns and cannon from nearby Manassas, heralding the beginning of 4 uncertain years.
Not knowing what's happening with all your cousins and your brothers and your sons that are up there, and then that one lone soldier coming back to tell you what happened.
After the Battle of First Manassas, one Union soldier, John Rice of the 2nd Regiment of New Hampshire Volunteers, was left for dead. Locals Amos Benson and his wife Margaret kindly nursed John back to health. Once healed, Rice continued to fight for the Union, while Amos enlisted on the Confederate side.
Brentsville would suffer pretty heavily during the Civil War, especially in the early stages of the war when both armies, the Confederate and Federal armies, are posted here in Prince William.
James Griffin of South Carolina's Hampton Legion wrote,
"We are camped on the banks of Broad Run. It is a large, muddy, ugly stream. Our drinking water is scarce and very bad. I hope we will be moved from here soon. There have been so many troops about here that the resources are nigh exhausted."
Confederates were not the only ones to comment on Brentsville as they passed through. Later in the war, when Union troops occupied Brentsville, William F. Keyes from Pennsylvania stole one of the court minute books.
"John Keyes and Walter Keyes, and all the rest of you Keyes, if you are any relations of mine, you had better keep shady, at least till this cruel war is over."
After March of 1862, civil government here in Prince William ceases to exist. So it's really hard to imagine these people living in and around Prince William in the town of Brentsville without really a civil government to watch over crimes.
I cannot stress enough how much population, whether it was soldiers or the actual people, how many people were affected by troop movement and troop action through that area.
Check that, check this. Stay back, this. No! No! Get out of the way!
What are we gonna do? What do I do? No matter who came through, that area was devastated.
In 1865, the last of the Union troops marched through Brentsville, heading north for the Grand Review in Washington, D.C. Although much of the landscape had been destroyed and the county seat relocated, Brentsville survived.
They wanted life to come back as it was, but really time had passed them by, and the Civil War just had changed everything forever.
After the war, former Union soldier John Rice showed up on the Bensons' doorstep. Both men had survived, and Rice returned to ask how he could repay the Bensons' kindness for having nursed him back to health. Wanting nothing for themselves, the Bensons asked Rice to contribute to a fund to rebuild a war-torn Sudley church. Rice, returning to New England, wrote a newspaper story about how the Bensons had aided him and asked for money to be sent to their congregation. Sudley Church received more than enough money to repair the damages.
The main theme of Brentsville is survival.